Origin Chance, and this is what happened to each planet within the Sol system. Warhammer 40k lore by channel Major Kill. Yes, this is the question. I was thinking a lot of time, but never saw the video. But this was just uploaded a week ago, so yeah. Obviously, we know about Earth Terra, basically, which is the actual name of Earth, right? Luna is the name of Moon, Sol is Sun, Terra is the name of Earth, right? Then Mars and things like that. So, obviously we know about Terra, like what's happening. It's Terra, right? It's the base of humanity. Mars, we know that Mechanicus thing is there, but what about every other planets, right? How many planets did they actually occupied? Obviously, right? Because when they started to expand outside of Terra, they must have went to lots of different moons of like Jupiter, Saturn, and probably made colonies there or something. So what happened to all that? It would be really fun to see it. So let's watch it. Remember, if you like my Rickson, don't subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. I love Warhammer, as you already know, with all these Warhammer reactions. But yeah, Warhammer is really interesting. It's really big. I like that there's going to be a new TV show that I've been bitching, right? The past 2 years I've been bitching. There must be a game, TV show, movie, something about Warhammer. And I guess Henry Cavill is, making another Warhammer 40k, right? He's the star or something. I don't know. But it's going to be fucking awesome. So let's watch this one.
G'day guys and gal. The setting of 40k is wildly different from our own modern era. So different in fact, it's easy to forget that it technically takes place in our timeline. Terra is Earth, Mars is Mars, and the Mona Lisa is still floating around in some stasis preservation field. So it begs the question, what has happened to all the planets within our solar system over the past 40,000 years? Which ones have been terraformed? Which ones have been destroyed? It's an interesting, not often considered bit of lore that is worth talking about. Before we get started, I quickly want to share some exciting news. After many trials, tribulation, and anal pain, we have finally integrated VAT into the Major Minis website. This means no more bullshit random customs fees or European post offices holding packages hostage. Now you just pay VAT at checkout and bam, package goes straight to your door. This is something I've been working on for ages but was too retarded to sort it out. But now that's ready, so you cheeky Europeans can now get Ra, the Xenonids, the Shark Daddy, the King Orc, and dozens of other Major Minis without fuss. We are hard at work putting together a bunch of new models that will come out this month, but if you were a European waiting for VAT to get sorted, then the time has come. Link in description. Today we'll go over what happened to each of the planets within the Sol system, as well as what function they currently serve. Now let's get into it. Obviously, we will start with Earth, or Terra as it's called in 40k, as I am a bit biased. The birthplace of mankind remains its capital and the home of most of the Imperium's institutions. The assassin temples, custodian laboratories and armories, and the administratum are all stationed on Terra. It's not just sentimental either. Although Terra has a lot of infrastructure and a fuck-off huge population, 99% of its value comes from the fact that it is home to the Emperor and the Astronomicon. The Emperor being more or less the Astronomicon's skeletal computer / battery, and the Astronomicon being the lighthouse that allows Imperial ships to travel through the warp. Without the Astronomicon, the galaxy would be cut off and plunged into darkness, which is why living on Imperium Nihilus right now sucks more dick than a college girl with failing grades. Since Terra is seen with holy reverence by the rest of the Imperium, its population is in the quadrillions, as the entire world is basically just one big fuck-off city / slum. This makes it a great recruiting ground for the Imperium, as if only 0.1% of the population are highly talented individuals, that is still trillions of people that can be brought into the Administratum, Commissariat, or even Inquisition. It also allows for a lot of regiments to be pulled from the world. Now, as a side effect for having that obscenely ungodly amount of people, the entire world's natural ecosystems have been annihilated, resulting in a lot of pollution, diseases, overheating, and scarce resources. Pretty much all water and food is imported from off-world, with only slight delays or mess-ups causing millions to starve or die of dehydration. Terra has gone through multiple apocalypses that have seen trillions.
What the fuck? So the world is so big and so complex that if you miss this one shipment, that's enough to starve a lot of people, because so many people are on Terra. You can't miss a shipment, right? See that. I love Warhammer because Warhammer has just taken the concept of as grand, as big as you can and just amplify it. And it kind of makes sense with how the world is going today, right? How things are kind of like, multiplying, right? Technology is multiplying really fast, especially compared to, timeline. Because in 100 years, look at how far we come. 100 years before, I mean, you can see the same, like 700, 100. People think like past 100 years is the only thing that matters. That's not really the case. If you really see it, 1700s has a great, advancements. That 1800 at the same level, but a bit more. It's just amplifying. Past 100 years, so many advancements. We just feel like before 1900s, it was all just dark. No, that wasn't the case. Just amplifying really fast. So who knows how we will be in year 3000, then 4000. We are all the way to 40,000 basically. So it just, I love how they just went with like, make the most ridiculous numbers about everything, about the people, resources, and implement that.
Millions dead. In recent times, the Cornite invasion of Terra caused most of the world to go mad and engage in a hectic free-for-all, a lot like what happened in Kingsman's Secret Service. The siege of Terra also saw trillions caught in the crossfire and get mowed down like they were nothing. Before that, Terra had been racked with nuclear fire from dipshit retards blowing up everything, so overall, Terra is a massive shithole that only exists because of the Emperor and the Astronomicon. Our red neighbor Mars had an interesting evolution over the last little while, first getting colonized by Elon Musk, then terraformed into a lush Earth-like world before then nuking themselves back into the form of the red planet. However, it wasn't quite full circle like that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The first man to step on Mars was the Emperor himself. See, in the medieval ages, a massive shard of the Void Dragon was on Earth causing a ruckus, so the Emperor rode out clad in golden armor and fucking dark souled the shit out of the Void Dragon, knocking it out. However, the Emperor didn't want to kill it, as that would kind of fuck with the laws of physics a bit, so he got a bright idea. By dragging the Void Dragon by its balls to Mars, most likely via hectic psychic teleportation, and locking it under the surface of the Noctis Labyrinthus, its dreams would saturate the planet, rapidly expanding the intelligence of anyone who lived on the world. So when old mate Elon finally got off Twitter and went to Mars, the new Martians exploded in IQ and intelligence, rapidly ascending humanity up the technological ladder. The Mechanicus isn't smart and impressive because they put computers in their brains, they've just been getting literally saturated in the wet dreams of a shard of a god of science. Mars was terraformed, and alongside Terra was the capital of humanity.
So you're telling me the Mechanicus are so badass technologically, they're so smart, is because of the Emperor? Emperor's the reason behind that? I mean, you would think that Emperor would be pissed after that Mechanicus don't think of Emperor as the one true god, basically, right? I'm pretty sure that's the case. Imperium just let go of that shit because they need them. But you would think that there would be actually, Emperor would just be pissed. Like, without Emperor, you won't be like this. That's something.
As it spread throughout the stars. Mars would enjoy its prosperity until the Age of Strife, where warp storms cut mankind off from itself, as well as that cheeky AI robotic uprising. On top of that, psychers began to appear and then accidentally shout out demons, causing most human worlds to regress. However, Mars was strong, its people were intelligent and resourceful, so despite the planet's terraformed biosphere getting completely fucked by all the war against the AI and the warp predators, they were able to eventually win and unite their world, rebuilding and returning to their powerhouse status. This was the Emperor's plan all along. He knew humanity would one day fall to the Age of Strife, and that Mars would be the key to creating his Imperium. Hence, the Emperor was able to gaslight Mars into thinking he was their god, their omnisire, and as such they pledged allegiance to him and provided him with their vast manufacturing capabilities. Although Mars would go through a civil war during the Horus Heresy, it was retaken by the Loyalists and remains the Imperium's key factory to this day. It also still sports a reasonably livable biosphere, with a breathable atmosphere and very scarce flora and fauna. Fuck it, let's do Jupiter now. You wouldn't think that a gas giant could be used very well by the Imperium.
Yeah, okay. There is no magnetic field around Mars. Did they do something about that, right? They created, because otherwise how is atmosphere still there? How is radiation not clean? Maybe, okay, maybe I'm going too sciencey about this, but is there some detail about that? Isn't that like they actually did something with it? Because knowing Warhammer, they must have put some detail like that. I don't know.
But you also wouldn't think that a midget could get shot out of a cannon and survive, but here we are. Jupiter has actually become the Imperium shipyard, with thousands of colonies located on the asteroids and man-made orbital platforms surrounding it. The planet itself ejects a huge amount of radiation, which is then converted into an endless supply of energy for the manufacturing of the thousands and thousands of spaceships the Imperium needs.
Damn,
but before it was a shipyard, Jupiter was actually home to a vicious alien race, a race that was genocided by the newly formed Imperium with the help of Mars. Most Jupiter cities and colonies are on one of the numerous moons, with about 90% of the populace being members of the Mechanicus, due to how fucking shit living on those moons would be for an unaugmented human. In saying that though, the orbitable platforms can be quite luxurious, with Saros Station having the finest opera house in the Imperium, aside from the one within the Imperial Palace of course. On to the next gas giant, Saturn. When the
It must be like the Metro. Was it Metro 2033? No, it was Metro Last Light, right? Bolshoi or whatever that was. It was something like that, right? You just this weird station, everybody just working in just like this kind of a encased ships because they're on the spaceship, and there's this opera.
Imperium was formed, Saturn was actually under the control of a human empire called the Saturn Ordo that had a pretty strong military. However, fortunately, they saw the Imperium as a brother empire, so happily joined in with the Emperor. Some resisted and were destroyed, while some other Saturn moons housed hostile Xenos that were also genocided. Unlike Jupiter, which became a very public shipyard, Saturn would be converted into a clandestine military world, with all its moons being used to house secret inquisitorial forces. Malkador wanted there to be a contingency plan in case he and the Emperor fell during the heresy, so he turned the moon of Mimas into an inquisitorial jail. The moon of Enceladus houses the capital of the Ordo Malleus Inquisition, as well as the Sister of Battle Order of the Shattered Glass. Tethys has demons on it, which are used as study and practice for inquisitorial troops and Grey Knights, whilst Titan is the literal homeworld of the Grey Knights. The Inquisition's power is so great that they were able to take a
Grey Knights from Titan. This is awesome, right? I mean, I like that they actually used one of the moons as homes, especially Titan here, because people think when the in 4 billion years or so, when the sun basically expands, becomes this kind of a massive red ball that probably, I don't know, this math is just here and there. Is it going to consume Earth or not? But it doesn't matter. Earth is going to be completely scorched. People think that humanity by that point will basically transform Earth to some of the moon or something like Titan or something.
Deimos, a moon that used to orbit Mars, and bring it over to Jupiter to use as the Inquisition's private forge world. And finally, Lapetus is the naval dock for the Grey Knight battleships. If you're ever wondering how powerful the Inquisition actually is, just remember that one of its wings controls a gas giant and all its moons in humanity's solar system. Saturn continues to exist in this form in the current setting. Venus is a bit less spicy. At the dawn of the Imperium, it was controlled by war witches, who used litho golems as soldiers, implying that during the Age of Technology, mankind settled on this world, but during the Age of Strife, the newly emerged Psychers took control of it and became wacky. The Iron Warriors were sent to massacre them and take the world in the Imperium's name. That is about as spicy as its lore gets though, as now it's just a pretty generic industrial world. What about your anus? Kill myself. Uranus is pretty interesting as it's home to the most stable warp route in and out of the Sol system, meaning most large fleets that want to safely enter or leave the system go via Uranus. However, the world itself is pretty uninhabitable, so most life out there is just orbitable space platforms.
Yeah, okay. So a warp hole is from Uranus. They did that deliberately. That's some next level shit right there. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I love that they actually thought of so much detail about these planets. Even though, let's be honest, most of the lore doesn't even mention solar systems, it's Terra and Mars, I guess. I like that there's so many details about this, right? I really wanted one of the planets to be mysterious something, or one of the asteroids, dwarf planets or whatever, right? Some mystery behind it, some like, how in basically galaxy there are, cool stars and things like that where people are like, we don't know what that is or something. I know it feels like weird, like how would you not know what's happening in your own solar system? But yeah, because of something we don't know, nobody visits that. Some element like that would have been awesome, but I don't know.
As you can imagine, it became a key battleground during the Horus Heresy, as the Iron Warriors wanted to seize the warp route and succeeded in this. It was then taken off them at the end of the siege, and continues to be the main door in and out of the Sol system. Its moons are used as mining stations or heavily fortified guard posts, as befitting what would usually be Terra's first line of defense. Onto Pluto. This one is a bit controversial, because is Pluto even a fucking planet? But then, who really cares? Pluto was once again not a key world in the system, however it also had a stable warp route in and out of the Sol system, so was fortified in a similar way. If Uranus was the front door, Pluto was the side gate. It more so acts as a listening outpost rather than a fortress, giving Terra warning of enemy approach but not really stopping them. It became the site of a huge battle during the Horus Heresy, as Alpha Legion engaged Imperial Fist. It was on Pluto that Rogel Dawn killed Alpharius, and Sigismund outplayed and blew up a bunch of Sons of Horus.
Imperial Fist went through Uranus. That's just no. Yeah, YouTube's gonna cancel this video. Okay, I didn't see this kind of a funny shit coming from. Yeah, this is really good. He didn't talk about Mercury. What about Mercury, man? Because I'm pretty sure he just went all the... okay, I guess he's not doing it through order, right? Because he just talked about Venus in the middle. Maybe he'll talk about Mercury. I don't know.
In the current setting, due to its neglect, a number of Xenos were able to sneak into the world and begun living there, only for the Adeptus Custodes to swoop in and fuck them up. What of Neptune? It was colonized during the Age of Technology. However, when the Age of Strife hit, the humans on it were mutated into vicious abominations. As the Imperium rose, the Blood Angel Legion was sent to purge it, however lost over 12,000 Astartes in doing so, the largest loss of Space Marine life recorded in one conflict at the time. The world was in Imperial hands, but it wasn't very important. During the Horus Heresy, Perturabo sent some basic pirates and trader guardsmen to go fuck it up as an afterthought. It was retaken after the Siege of Terra, but remains pretty unimportant. The only really notable thing happening to it in the current setting was when a bunch of Custodes arrived on it to massacre a gene stealer cult. Mercury is likewise unimportant, being used as a basic mining world that got fucked by the Alpha Legionnaires during the Heresy. In response, the Sisters of Silence arrived on it and genocided all the Psychers there, to prevent any tomfoolery from occurring.
Okay, seriously, Mercury is extremely hot. I get it, the new technology, next age technology, this and that, but how are you having activities there, like fights and things? Where is fights happening? Indoors? Where the system is basically keeping everything cool? But, one of the biggest issue with the, any tech space type of thing is conflicts. What if some conflict destroys the system that is keeping everything cool? Won't everybody would just boil at that point? Anything on Mercury feels like, okay, I know this like a futuristic thing, but still, fights and things on Mercury, come on.
It remains a small, unimportant mining world. The moon, or Luna as it's called, isn't a planet, but it's worth mentioning due to how much more interesting it is than half the planets I've already mentioned. Luna was the first non-Terra world colonized by humanity early on in our time. As we figured out how to get to and colonize more exciting worlds, like Mars, Luna became a way station rather than a key colony. When the Age of Strife occurred, the colony of Luna went weird and got really into genetic modification, becoming the gene cult of Selenar. The Emperor really wanted the cult's technology for himself.
It would have been better if they turned Moon into literal docking station, because it has close to no gravity and would work basically if you want to launch anything from here to anywhere, right? I think that's what's going to happen with basically in reality. In future, Moon will turn into some kind of a docking station, right? Because you don't want to launch everything from Earth, because just getting out of atmosphere is takes up lots of fuel. Like, this is unnecessary shit. If you want to do anything interplanetary, interstellar thing, Moon is the basic bet you want to do it from, right? Any big ass shipbuilding, do it around Moon. That just works.
As it was perfect for mass-producing Space Marine gene seed. However, the cultists told him to eat a dick before then turning Imperial ambassadors into still living genetic soup. The Emperor sent 3 of his new legions that were able to take Luna within 6 hours. Seeing how dominant the Imperium was, the surviving gene cultists bent the knee and submitted to Imperial rule. Luna was transformed into a highly populated and developed world that was now home to large military bases and expanded genetic laboratories. Luna also became the home base of the Sisters of Silence, the logic being that Luna would be the last line of defense before Terra, so why not fortify the ever-living shit out of it? Despite being the battleground for a number of large conflicts, it still serves its purpose to this day. If you enjoyed
Luna will be the last defense depending on where it's orbiting, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I guess, kind of makes sense. Yeah, so this was really interesting, man. I loved how many details, like every planet is being used, right? Because I kind of assumed like they're just going to go talk about the big ones like Mars, sure, Jupiter, Saturn, but no, they filled out every planet. I like that. Like, why won't you, right, at this stage, right? If you're this advanced, you're colonizing the galaxy, why won't you colonize every single planet that you have? Why not? Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with the Moon. They should have had, integral part of the Terra, because it's a docking station or something. It's literally part of Terra in this way. I wanted something like that, but okay. Alright, well, that was what happened to each planet within the solar system. Warhammer 40k lore by the channel Major Kill. If you like my next and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.